Hello students, welcome to Discrete Mathematical Structures class. We will be studying today rules of inference topic. Myself Srisha HS. So we will be studying in this topic. So rules of inference. If we revisit what is a proposition. A proposition is a statement to which we can always assign truth values, a logical 0 or logical 1, or true or false, logical false or logical true. So that will be a proposition. So we represent it as P, Q, R, etc. So P, Q, R independently they are simple proposition, and compound proposition, when we combine it with the logical operators like and or, they become a compound proposition. In rules of inference we go through some just like laws of logic, we will be going through some laws of inference, we can say. So before that we will just see, so what are the premises. So this P1, so these are all propositions, n number of propositions. So this is called an argument, and this will be a conclusion. So if this argument is true, assumed to be true, then this conclusion should be true. Okay, so this P1 independently, so this is just a different representation of argument. So this is a premises 1, so proposition is called premises here, proposition 2, proposition 3. So it's a proposition n. So these are called premises. Independently they are called premises, and together this is called argument. So this is conclusion. So the argument is valid whenever each of the premises P1, P2 till Pn is true. Then if that is the case, then conclusion Q is true. So this whole argument will be valid then. This whole argument will be valid. Just like we have laws of logic, similarly we have rules for inference. You can read it as laws of inference also. Rules for inference. So we will list it out and study one by one. So first one is a rule of conjunctive simplification. So conjunction means we know it is and. Okay, and is conjunction. If P and Q is true, then P is true. Okay, so both should be true. So P should be 1 and Q should be 1. If that is the case, then P is 1. Okay, so this is natural. So P and Q both should be Q. If P and Q are true, then P is true. You can also extrapolate like this. P and Q is true, then Q is true. This is also right. Next one. So we have finished with this one. Next one. Rule of disjunctive amplification. Disjunction means or. Disjunction means or. So what it says, if P is true, then P or Q is true. So we have to observe here that in or, in disjunction, if any one of the proposition is true, then the whole compound proposition will be true. So following that, we can easily say that suppose P is true, then P or Q will be true. So that will be disjunctive amplification. So we here simplify, P and Q becomes P, here amplification, P becomes P or Q. Okay, here it's a simplification, here it is amplification. Next one, an important one, a rule of syllogism. Rule of syllogism. So what it says, we observe here. So if P conditional Q and is true and Q conditional R is true, that means P conditional R will be true. So that is rule of syllogism. So it's represented like this argument form: P conditional Q is true and Q conditional R is true, then P conditional R will be true. So this is rule of syllogism, and it is a very important one. The next rule of inference is modus ponens. The other name is rule of detachment. So, or it is also called a rule of affirming. Okay. So anything modus ponens, that's the standard name, or rule of detachment, method of affirming, both relates to modus ponens. How it works? So P and P conditional is Q. If P and P conditional Q is true, then Q is true. So if P and, so if they are written in a vertical model, then P and P conditional Q is true, therefore Q is true. So this is modus ponens. So we can just know it is by writing a truth table. We can easily make out prove this. Okay, so P Q, we can have P conditional Q. So and also P and P conditional Q here. So 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. So how will this route? So 1 1 0 1. So how does inference work? Means whenever left hand side is true, right hand side should be true. If left hand side is false, right hand side can be anything. So if we write P and P conditional Q, so this one is 0, second one is 0, P and again 0, so here it is 1. Okay, so whenever P and P conditional Q is true, Q should be true. If that is that's holding, then this argument is true. So observe here, it's the only case when P and P conditional Q is true is this one, last one. So in that time Q is true. So hence we can by the truth table we can prove that this argument is correct. Modus ponens, this is a standard argument, modus ponens. Next one is modus tollens. So again we can write a truth table and see whether it is true. So remember, whenever LHS is true, right, RHS should be true. So whenever LHS is false, RHS can be anything. So what is there? So if P conditional Q is true, if P conditional Q and negation Q is true, then negation P is true. Whenever P conditional Q and negation Q is true, then negation P is true. So just have P Q negation P negation Q. So we can have P conditional Q. Last one we can have the final this one. So let's write here 0 1 1 0 1 1. So negation of P, that is whenever P is 0, it becomes 1 1 0 0. How this work? So 1 0 1 0. So P conditional Q, so 1 1 0 1. Okay, now let's see how this whole compound proposition, truth value of this whole compound proposition. So P conditional Q and negation Q. So that means P conditional Q and negation Q, we have here these two. So we'll add this one is true, 1, this one is false, this one, the third one is false, the fourth one is also false. This is the truth value of our compound proposition. Let's see here. So whenever LHS is 1, okay, what becomes of a negation P? Negation P is 1. So in all other they are 0, so negation P has the freedom to be any of the logical values, that is 0, 1, 0, 0. It's not a problem. So whenever LHS is true, then RHS should be true. So here in this case it is true, negation P is also true. So LHS infers RHS. This is an inference symbol. Inference symbol. There are two types of symbols you can observe. One is a logically equivalent, another one is infer. Okay, so in logically equivalent, what happens? Whenever left hand side LHS is 0, this should be RHS should be 0. Whenever LHS is 1, then RHS will be 1. In inference, whenever LHS is 1, RHS should be 1. Whenever LHS is 0, RHS may be anything. So that's about modus ponens and modus tollens. So the next one is a rule of disjunctive syllogism. So what it says, P or Q and negation P, if it is true, then Q should be true. So if that is valid, then this whole argument is valid. Okay, let's write a truth table and see whether what we are writing is true. P, Q, we have a negation P, and then P or Q. Okay, and this finally this compound proposition, this compound proposition. So as there is no place here, so we will be writing a dash. So we'll write the truth 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So negation P, so that will be 1, 1, 0, 0. So what will be P or Q? It's an OR. So we have 0, 1, 1, 1. So let's write the compound proposition here. P or Q, so there is a bracket there, and negation P. So we'll write that one here. The compound proposition's values. It's an AND there. So here it is 0, 1, 0, 0. So what does the rule of inference says? Whenever LHS is true, RHS should be true. So when is LHS true? In this second case, let's observe Q here. Q is the RHS. It is 1. So we can infer here that this argument is valid. This argument is valid. Rule of disjunctive syllogism. So P or Q and negation P, whenever they are true, Q will be true. Next one is the rule of contradiction. So whenever negation P, conditional contradiction is true, then P is true. Okay. Then P is true. So what is contradiction? So this is denoted by F naught. Its value is always 0. T naught is tautology and its value is always 1. So negation P, conditional 0 always is infers P. So if you write a truth table here, how it will work. We need only 3 columns. Okay, so P, that is 0, 1, negation P, 1, 0. Okay, so our contradiction, its value is always 0. So our compound proposition here, negation P, conditional F naught. So how it is? 1, 0 is 0, 0, 0 is 1. So now let's see, whenever this compound proposition here is 1, LHS is 1, then RHS should be 1. In this second case it is 1. Let's see what is P's value. It is also 1. So by truth table we prove that this is a valid argument. Negation P, conditional, contradiction, infers P. Now let's take the first problem. So first thing students have to remember that they should always know the rules of inference that we have just seen before, because without knowing that, without remembering that, you will never know what kind of rule of inference we have to apply for the problems that we do now. So if you have the first problem, it is the propositions are given in the verbal form. So if Sachin hits a century, then he gets a free car. There are two propositions, it's a compound proposition. Next one, Sachin hits a century. Conclusion, Sachin gets a free car. Okay. So now there are two propositions here. Let's convert them into symbolic form. So P, Sachin hits a century. So that's a P. That's the first proposition or premise we can tell. So second one will be the Sachin gets a free car. He gets a free car, Sachin gets a free car, both are same. So if, so let's convert them into the form. Okay, if then is a conditional statement. If Sachin hits a century, then he gets a free car, that is Q. And the next argument, Sachin hits a century. So what is that one? That is P. So next one, therefore Sachin gets a free car, that is Q. Okay, so whether this is a valid argument or not, we have to find out. So for if you are telling it's a valid argument, step by step we have to say what kind of rule we are using, just modus pons, modus tollens, rule of syllogism, etc. So P conditional Q and Q. So according to a rule of inference, it is Q, that is according to modus pons, as given here, according to modus pons. Modus pons rule we are applying here. P conditional Q and P, sorry, here it is P. Just applying so P conditional Q and P infers that it is Q by modus pons rule. This argument is valid. So in this problem, always after you arrive that according to some rule, in this case modus pons rule, it is a valid argument, you have to write the conclusion. So according to modus pons, this is a valid argument, you have to write. This is a valid argument, you have to conclude. Second problem, so if Sachin hits a century, he gets a free car. Sachin does not get a free car. Sachin has not hit a century. So these are two premises, this is the conclusion. So we will just convert them into symbolic form. Sachin hits a century is P. Sachin gets a free car is Q. Okay, so Sachin does not get a free car, so it's a negation of the Q. Sachin has not hit a century is a negation of P. Okay, so we'll just write them in a symbolic form here. So if Sachin hits a century, then, so then is not there in the question, but it has to be understood. If then, okay, if Sachin hits a century, then he gets a free car. So Sachin does not get a free car, negation Q. So Sachin has not hit a century, negation P. negation P. Sachin has not hit a century. So according to which rule this argument is valid, we have to see. So according to which rule this argument is valid. So observe here. So according to modus tollens rule, if this argument is valid, P conditional Q and negation Q is true, then negation P is true. So according to modus tollens rule, this argument is valid. So next one, if I drive to work, then I will arrive tired. So I am not tired, therefore I do not drive to work. Okay, so let's convert into symbolic form. I drive to work, so that's one proposition. I will arrive tired, that's another proposition. Now I am not tired, so that will be negation Q. Okay, so I do not drive to work, that will be negation P. Okay, now let's us arrange them properly. If I drive to work, so then it's a conditional. If I drive to work, then I will arrive tired. Okay, so I am not tired, negation Q. So therefore I do not drive to work, negation P. Okay, so again observe what kind of rule we can apply. So according to modus tollens rule, P conditional Q and negation Q is a negation P. So exactly we have same kind of argument. So according to modus tollens rule, this is a valid argument. This is a valid argument. So next problem, I will become a famous or I will not become a musician. I will become a musician. The third conclusion is I will become famous. Okay, so let's see. I will become famous. So that will be first one, P. I will not become a musician. Here we also have I will become a musician. So these two are negations of each other. I will become a musician is Q. Okay, so the negation will be I will not become a musician. Okay, so how many propositions we have? We have P, Q and negation Q as propositions. One result you have to remember, that is suppose P conditional Q is logically equivalent to negation P or Q. Remember, this one's a very important result, so we will be using it. And you also know that one compound proposition can be replaced by logically equivalent compound proposition in an equation. Okay, so with this one, we'll remember this one, P conditional Q can be written as negation P or Q, or we can write Q conditional P can be written as negation Q or P. Okay, negation Q or P. So with this we'll continue with the problem. So what do we have here? We have P or negation Q. Okay, so I will become famous P or I will not become musician, that's negation Q. Next one, I will become a musician Q, so that will be resulting in I will become famous, so that will be P. So let's apply, let's see how can we solve this one. P or negation Q, so we can write it as negation Q or P. Commutative property holds, they are logically equivalent. Negation Q or P, how can we write? According to the result which we write just previously, negation Q or P is equivalent to Q conditional P. Okay, negation Q or P equal to Q conditional P. So substituting that in our equation, how can we write? q conditional p, our equation becomes and q, what will this happen? Okay, what will happen? Q conditional p and q is p. Is this a valid argument? So just check Modus-Pon's rule. According to Modus-Pon's, this argument is valid.